Hey everyone, we're just letting people trickle in here right now. And then we'll get started in just a couple minutes. Thanks for getting on so timely. I appreciate it. It said, well, we had about 15 registrants, so tight knit, easy group. I hope that it'll be extremely helpful for everyone from a Q&A standpoint once I go through a couple slides as well. I'll give people another maybe 2 minutes and then dive right into my introduction and we'll go through there for the conversation. So appreciate you bearing with me for just a couple more minutes, see if anyone else trickles in. I should have probably had some music going or something in the background, like elevator music while we're waiting here. So you all are just listening to me ramble and stare at my face. So next time, next event we do.
I'm glad you spared us the elevator music.
Good. I'm glad.
I know. I feel like we listen to that too much. These Zoom environments.
Okay, well, good. Silence then. That's perfect. Or just talking amongst ourselves. That's awesome. We'll give them one more minute and then I'll dive right in and start. Obviously, thanks again, everyone. I forget, I'm sure at recruiting events, there's a lot of just sitting and listening. So that makes sense. Should have figured that one. Awesome. Okay, well, I want to get started. I'll see if people trickle in. I've obviously as well will be recording this and then sending this to everyone afterwards. So you'll have this recording for everything that we go through and talk about today. And appreciate you all registering. This is our first kind of open Q&A that we're doing in 2022 at Scholars. I'm Parker Pell, one of the co-founders. Scholars, we're an early career retention platform. Our goal is to help teams personalize candidate journeys and share relevant information with early career candidates while we understand the data behind what keep warm strategies and stories that we're telling are actually translating to engagement and reducing turnover and reneges within interns, new grads, converted interns. So that's our goal as a company, hence obviously why we're in the space and have this conversation. Today, what I really want to do is obviously just kind of set the scene of what we're seeing in the market from a renege standpoint for early career candidates. I think right now, interns obviously is kind of the hot topic, and then open it up to questions and really have an open dialogue, see where I can bring in industry insights from our partners that we're talking to try to help solve any sort of problems, questions, or challenges that you all have from the standpoint of obviously reneges. So with that, obviously feel free to drop questions in the chat. I'll do my best to monitor it. As I'm talking, I've got like 5 minutes worth of things I just want to run through and then just kind of open up the floor to see how we can make this as obviously productive for you all as possible. So let me go into presenter mode really quickly. And obviously this is our first event we're doing. All things reneges is this month's topic. We'll be doing these on a monthly basis. And obviously we'll ensure that you all have invitations out and know when those events are coming up for future, obviously for attending this first one as well. I would like to just start by going over a couple of data points that we're seeing, as obviously the great resignation is turning the market into very competitive market. But I think what's getting lost in that greater conversation around the great resignation is what's happening, which we coined the great reneging, where candidates are reneging at honestly double to almost triple the rates that they used to on accepted offers. And it's time to start understanding really why. What we've seen is 39% of employers we talk to have seen a spike in reneges. It's interesting when you look at data trends. 2019, the renege rates were around like 4%. COVID hit and those rates almost dipped a little bit because students were scared of, hey, what's the job market? Now 2021, rates are up to 10%. We have even some people talking like 20% numbers, which is just crazy for all the effort that we're putting into that. And some really interesting data that we saw as well in the space is for this upcoming year, 15% of students who have accepted an internship for the summer of 2022 are still searching for a new position, talking to other recruiters, and then 8% of students who have accepted a full-time offer for 2022 are still talking to other recruiters, going through a recruitment process for this spring. Because there is still so much unknown. I think we got to a point where we heard students were like, yeah, I thought I was going back into the office. And now I'm not. Now I'm reevaluating my circumstances. And so with this environment, obviously it's posing a challenge for us as recruiting teams, and just good data to start to understand as well. I think that communication, which obviously is a main pillar of how we keep candidates engaged, is extremely important, and how often that communication is sent to candidates is really the missing piece of the puzzle. 33% of candidates want to hear from employers 2 to 3 times per month before they start their start date. This is obviously varies based on who the candidate is, but I think that it's interesting to think about how long the interim period is between offer acceptance and start date based on the role, and utilize that duration as kind of a mechanism to say, hey, look, we have a 3-month interim window. We need to send 9 touch points. That's a very easy way to start to conceptualize what a kind of consistent touch point key form strategy could ultimately look like. Now, obviously, I'm sure most of these numbers aren't surprising to you all, but just setting the scene for these, this is where we're at right now from a market standpoint. A really interesting quote that we were able to get from a student, which on obviously all these slides will be sent to you all afterwards as well, that I think the key to maintaining recruits past the holiday lull is helping interns feel confident in their secured position. This is going towards that constant communication standpoint. When an intern feels confident, they will become an important piece of the company and understands their role. It's harder for opinions to be swayed by peers. I just think that this brings it down to that level of understanding how important that consistent communication is and the variability in that consistent communication. It's not just like touch points, hey, checking in, how are you? It's value add information that we're sending to candidates. Ultimately, that's going to force them to fill out a survey, have an action, or have something that they can take away from it at the end of the day. Lastly, from my standpoint, where do we go from here? Just like very macro level ideas that there's way more to dive deeper into, but I wanted to just put a few out there for us to just kind of have thought starters as we have this Q&A session. Emphasizing community building within cohorts. I think a lot of what we see is people have a page where interns or new grads go to a group me something or some other, but then there's no real actual like engagement or activity happening within that page because that management is tough. It's tough to manage a group and get interns and people within our cohort who don't know one another to actually find similar interests by just saying, hey, here's who I am. Nice to meet you. So thinking about the management of how we emphasize that community building, I think is extremely important. 2, mentorship as it relates to retention strategy, I think is key. And I think is something that is ultimately lost a lot in mentor programs and mentor preparation that we hear of. So it's not just finding the best mentor, but it's also ensuring that that mentor understands how what they're doing in their volunteer time is ultimately relating to the goal of the company, which is let's convert this intern. Let's ensure this new grad is coming and landing at our internship, or there's taking our full-time position and showing up on day 1. Personalizing key form strategies, it's tough, bandwidth, it's hard. It's very easy to put together just kind of a blanket, hey, everyone gets the same information. But I challenge people to think about how you can personalize that, even if it's just based on role. Maybe it's just based on like grad year. What can we be doing to, again, send that value add information to different types of candidates in that keep warm strategy? That's going to show them that we're tailoring it and making sure that they, the candidate, are successful and that they're prepared for their upcoming role on their first day. And then lastly, it's avoiding relying on other employees and managers to send this communication out. That's like a big thing that we see, which is a huge no-no, because obviously our managers who are bringing in interns or just employees in general, maybe even mentors, they've got jobs themselves. Having them do work on the front end can help a lot. Simple as just like getting them to record a video. It shows that student or that candidate who that person is, but eliminates them having to wait for a manager to reach out, forget, and then we're in this interim kind of lull period. So with that, I want to just kind of ultimately open up the floor. Again, I want this to just kind of be a Q&A open session. I know that was kind of a quick run through overview of slides, but setting the stage for where we're at, our thoughts and ideas. Obviously, you all will be getting those slides as well afterwards, so that you can have them. And then as well for registering, we're going to send everyone, we've put together like our best practice keep warm strategy template for a 4-month journey, like a 4-month duration. From what we've seen work for partners, it's obviously not tailored to a specific role. It's more of like a nurture campaign general strategy that will be included in the follow-up email as well. So with that, I'll just kind of open the floor up for questions, things that I can obviously answer, or any comments on any of the numbers or things that we went through as well.
Hi, I can start off. First off, sorry for being off video. I have a new puppy and she's a little chaotic right now.
No worries.
So I had a question for you, just chatting about like gifting and being more thoughtful about the way we do kind of like keep warm gifts. If you had any thoughts or kind of suggestions about that.
Yeah, so I think my biggest suggestion would be a huge area of opportunity that we see is gifting for a standpoint of like usability. So thinking about what we're gifting to candidates or people who have accepted an offer that they can use with not in a work setting. I've heard people send like yoga mats. Obviously that's kind of expensive. Things that they can use in their day-to-day life that isn't related to work, that gets it ingrained into their day-to-day activity, increases that kind of just like brand. Obviously I'm using something in my day-to-day and they see the brand versus just sending them like pens, like stickers and stuff that we typically are sending. Socks, it's really funny, but like socks could be a really interesting thing as well that I think of. And we've even seen some people, which is kind of funny, send like fortune cookies, like customized fortune cookies that like tell them like their fortune is to like be the best intern on their first day or something like that. Getting creative with that, I think, is another way that we could you could go about that. I would say also the timing of the gifting is extremely important, Lindsay. So ensuring that we're not waiting too long to send those gifts out. If we've got candidates accepting offers in November, maybe we have 40 or 50% of our required recs filled out. I say we should try to send those to those people as soon as possible. I wouldn't wait until a month before to send gifts, because then, like I mentioned, that day-to-day usability is kind of out the window, and it's just we're sending them stuff and hoping that they like it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And Parker, this is Ashley from Global Bantic. I just wanted to quickly comment on the gifts and some of the things that we do here in our internship program. So we actually send gifts to everybody we make an offer to. So regardless if they accept the offer, we send them a little box. We partner with a company called Olive and Cocoa. So they have like a Global Bantic box that they send out. So we just like send them a little note, you know, hey, send out this intern box, and it has just some little snacks in it. It's not really that expensive. And then in there, there's like a note that says, congratulations on your offer. We're so excited you made it to this point. It's a lot of hard work. And we've seen a lot of great feedback and conversion, from that and people accepting our offers. And then additionally, we send a holiday gift. So people that accepted before December, we send them a Global Atlantic sweatshirt to wear around campus. So obviously great branding for us. And then we send a gift in the spring that's a backpack. So it's sort of like right before the semester starts or like maybe a couple weeks after the semester. So again, something that they can use around campus and, and then we put a customized note in each of those things. So it sort of ties into, that engagement piece. So those are some things that we do.
How do you do like a one size fits all sweatshirt, or what's the logistics of that?
Yeah, so after the intern accepts the offer, we have like a little welcome email that gets sent out to them. So it asks for their size so that we can order the correct sweatshirt for them. It also gives them information on to what to expect, from now until when they start their internship. So one of the other things that we do is we host monthly engagement calls that have a theme. So our first kickoff call was in December, sort of like an intro. Everyone gets to know the other interns in their class. January, we've got our call this Friday. We're doing like a New Year's resolution theme call. February is going to be Black History Month, etc. So it sort of goes through some of those things in that intern welcome email. And then also just like logistics, like when we're going to run their background check and all that stuff. So we collect the sizes from, and also their addresses too, because sometimes, your school address is different from your home address. So we collect all of that information in our intern welcome email.
And Ashley, I would ask from your experience, obviously, I know it sounds like you all are doing a lot. Are you tracking data for those monthly calls that you all are hosting and tying that into like prediction of turnover or reneges?
Yeah, so we do make the calls optional. We don't say, oh, you have to attend this. If you've got class, you've got work, you've got other things. This is completely optional. But for our own purposes, we track engagement. We track how many of them are coming, how many of them are participating, because we do activities through these calls as well. And so knock on wood, and I feel like super superstitious, but we have not had any reneges last year and this year. So knocking on lots of wood around my office. So I think that's really important, because I think the more the interns feel included and engaged and they know what's going on, I think there's like sometimes people can feel like they just have a lack of information. So I think that really helps with just keeping people from not backing out.
Ashley, are you the moderator in those monthly groups that you have? You are.
I am. Yep. So I create all of the content. I lead the calls. Yep. So that's all me.
Because I do have some ideas for like engaging our interns, but then I kind of wonder, like, can it run on its own so that they don't have someone like in there? Like, are they going to continue conversation? Are they going to be engaged? And just kind of what that looks like a little bit too. So thank you.
Yeah, so we do have, and I know Parker talked about this, we do have a group me that's set up that I'm in one of them, but then they also sort of create their own where they can have their own side conversations and, sort of talk amongst themselves, whether it's about housing or, whatever they might be talking about that I don't necessarily need to be involved with. But I do think, like, from a call perspective, they like to hear from the employer. They like to hear from, someone at the company. So I do invite speakers, other leaders at Global Atlantic to, give a career story or something like that. Because again, I think they like to feel this sort of connectedness to the company that they're interning at.
And Sarah, I'll just add from what I've heard, teams that have truly like really successful keep warm strategies is breaking it into kind of two buckets where it's like time sensitive versus non-time sensitive. And it helps them kind of conceptualize and lay out in the planning stages of it, kind of where are we going to be allocating most of our like resources from like a team standpoint, and where can we defer resources that it's not as high of a priority of a touch point, where we can ensure that that's just kind of underway beforehand. So from like a conceptual standpoint, as like teams think about that, that's something that we see.
Ashley, I really like that idea of the monthly engagement calls. So I'm Amanda from DraftKings. Hi, everyone. We definitely have seen a lot of reneges on like the tech side. And I think it's because all of like the big tech companies, like we're losing out to like Amazon, Facebook, all of them, just based on like compensation. And of course, we're sending them gifts, we're sending them welcome, swag, things like that. But we kind of are not doing that monthly engagement. And I feel like that might help. But I'm curious, does anybody else on the call have anything else that they're doing?
I can chime in from the standpoint of kind of like just like industry wide what we're seeing, obviously, and then I would, if anyone else has any thoughts, please go ahead and do so. From my standpoint, I think that pairing candidates that accept an offer with like a junior buddy is what some teams like call them before they start. So it's not their full-blown like senior mentor that's talking to them about professional development and career and life skills, but it's a junior buddy who was in our previous internship that we converted, that we have a good relationship with, that has offered their time. Maybe it's 2 to 3 calls with a candidate as like someone who looks their age, talks like them, is in that same generation, provides that level of like peer-to-peer communication as well as visibility as to like what that journey was like for them. We've seen be really successful. So that would be something it's very top of mind for me right now, because I think that it translates a lot to showcasing how someone their age had went from school to a career environment, everything from communication best practices to like, here are the groups that I attended that I got a lot of value out of and that sort of thing. So I think that that's something that I would recommend. And then using previous interns as kind of a referral funnel for that junior buddy program. And we see junior buddies, they're typically willing to take on more than like a senior like mentor. So like maybe 2, maybe 3 people within your intern cohort that they would be open to like being paired with, versus most like mentors just want one person because that's the time and that's what they're willing to offer. So that would be food for thought on my end.
I have a question on that, Parker.
Yeah.
Do you find like thinking about that, I would feel like I would really need to like coach up these junior folks that we're matching them with, because I'm assuming like once they develop that relationship, they're going to start asking about like team placement. And those are things that like we kind of figure out later on, or like we're still working through what we're going to do for the upcoming year.
Yeah.
So like, how have you heard anything on like how they've really established that relationship to only be like focused on certain topics or things?
Yeah. So, and it's actually something that, and I'll make sure I share this with you all. I wrote a blog about yesterday. I haven't published it yet, but it's like 7 things every mentor should know before they get paired with a mentee. I think preparation for questions, as well as like a rough estimate of like an event or like a meetup calendar, like, hey, meet up 3 times over this next 3 months. Here are 3 topics that we would recommend that you talk about. It provides the mentor with obviously a straight line of like what the conversation should be focused on. Some teams go even as deep as like providing questions the mentor should be asking like the candidate that's accepted the offer, so that it stays kind of in that direct path. I'll say from the standpoint of trying to avoid the questions we don't want asked or there's no answers to. One would be telling the junior buddy, hey, like here are a list of things that like these people don't know yet. These candidates don't know yet. So don't be afraid to just let them know, hey, that's not something that I'd be able to answer, but like here are the things that like I'm here for you on the front end to kind of set those expectations.
So just wanted to jump in quickly.
Yeah.
So we're currently doing a mentor program. We actually rolled it out for the first time last year. And so what we did is we did like a little survey monkey for all of our interns to gather information of like what they want their mentor to cover, you know, what type of mentor they wanted. Do they want somebody of a similar demographic, someone different than them, different location, et cetera. So we sort of built out this survey to really collect the information from the interns to figure out what they were looking for. Then we went through this big exercise. It took me a really long time, and I'm glad I have help this year, but where we matched all of the interns with mentors, and then we did a training for the mentors. So to your point, like questions that they're not going to have answers to, or they should be directing to us or directing to their manager. The way that we had our mentor program is that we did not want them to measure performance. So we did not want them, you know, coming back to us and saying, oh, we thought this, and this about the intern. It really was like a no pressure. Like, we really just want you to perform in a buddy capacity to really help them through their experience. And then we ran a survey at the end of the summer, and people loved it. They thought that really helped them through their experience. They're friends with their mentor now. They like still chat with them. And that also helped us convert the interns into, you know, full-time, because it sort of showed them that journey. So, and I'm happy to share offline any other, you know, things about setting that up. Happy to share that.
I like that idea. Thank you. I just want to make a comment, and I'm newer to campus recruiting, so, you know, just take this for what you will, but we've created like a announcement for social media for interns to announce to, if they want to use this like GIF that says like, we're a new intern at our company, Menasha, and to post it to their LinkedIn if they feel inclined. And I wonder if that creates another level of like commitment with them, because they're posting it out publicly as well. I don't know if that's best practice, but and I haven't gotten fully into a season to see how many reneges we'll get, but I just wonder if it's just another tie to our organization, you know, as a commitment thing.
I can speak from a non-company perspective, obviously, and say that anything from a macro level that you can do to build brand loyalty between the candidate and your brand, make them feel empowered and special and like they're contributing to the overall mission, and this is an exciting thing, is a win and a step in the right direction. I obviously have seen plenty of interns at companies of all shapes and sizes post that. So I would recommend it as a best practice, but if anyone else has any obviously personal experience, I would open it up to them.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's something. Oh, go ahead, Amanda.
No, go ahead.
That's something that we do at Lyft. But I did notice this year we saw a lot less folks posting about it, which I don't know if that's part of this whole, like, they're thinking about other offers and still interviewing. But when we first did launch that, like, it was great and they were excited to share and like really proud to be joining the company. But yeah, we did see a huge decline in people actually using that little animation that we gave them to share on LinkedIn.
I agree. I was just going to say the same thing, and I was going to say that scares me a little bit, because I do think that it does commit them a little bit more to the company, and we haven't seen as much engagement with the ones that we sent out.
Same here. It's like when they post, it's more official, and they don't want to commit to that.
Well, shoot, you guys are scaring me now.
I think that that's an extremely valuable data point, though, as we look at ultimately, and I know we're at time, and I want to make sure I'm respectful of everyone's calendars. Everything we can do from a data standpoint, a tracking standpoint, to understand what might, for our specific program, be signals of candidates reneging, whether it's not attending events, not posting on the social media, something professional, not showing up to a peer-to-peer mentor buddy chat. It's all obviously individualized based on the program, but I think all things we can do to give the candidate stuff to action on provide us with opportunities to understand what they're not doing, so that we can help kind of combat those reneges before they're happening, which was the larger theme and kind of full circle ending that I wanted to bring this kind of conversation back with. And I know we're a minute past. I appreciate everyone joining. Obviously, I know this was a small group, but I think that small groups are really helpful in these situations. We'll be hosting these events every month. I'll always make sure to invite you. Expect a follow-up email from me with the template that I mentioned and some things that we talked about today, just kind of recapping. I'll send this recording if you want it as well, so that we don't lose any of the things that we talked about. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions at all, obviously. And thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Parker.
Thanks, Parker.
Thanks, Parker.
Bye.
Bye.